We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the spaceship stream. You be watching from anywhere around the country or the world or anywhere in the galaxy. And the other stream, it was showing a window it wasn't supposed to be showing, so I had to restart it. And also, now I'll be switching over for everybody to see me. All right, here we go. And welcome, hello, everybody. I hope that everybody's been having a great week, and the weekend is coming up, and this is the regular late night lives that we do. And I'm going to be now playing the game and ranting about different things and stuff like that. All right. So now I'll be. All right. All right. So today was a very wild day regarding trials and stuff like that. All right. Let's see if this game works. All right. All right. Here we go. Now the game is launching. Yeah, so today was an interesting day with trials. A very interesting day with that. And other things too, in general. It was quite, it was a hectic day overall with different stuff. Now we're waiting to see if this game will pop up and do its thing. So, some parts of the country are warm and other parts of the country are cooler. It seems like, and it also looks like it's going back and forth. That's what it seems like it's doing with different areas. All right. So now what the game is doing, it's loading. All right. All right. Here is the game. All right. We have the infamous pirate game that I always play, and I will be playing it, and I will be, having to get rid of this window. It's showing the wrong window. It's not supposed to be showing that, but it's showing it. Okay. All right. All right. So here we go. All right. The pirate character, he has. I don't quite know what that symbol right there is over his head exactly. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it means I'm in the level 40s. I'm not quite sure. All right. So there it is. That's the sun. Looks very cool. Oh, the mouse. All right. So anyway, so basically, this, that is the sun setting, and so basically the trials that I'm observing is the Monica trial, Monica Cementelli, and that trial has been on verdict watch for 7 hours. Hopefully tomorrow they can get a verdict. And also, what I've been doing is there's like 6 or 7 other trials that are going on that I have been researching. Let's see. Is the mouse is gonna work? Mouse is gonna work. Right, here we go. Okay, and now I'm gonna be launching the ship, and all right, all right. So now we'll be cruising along the Caribbean and talking about this. And it might be a choppy connection, just to let everybody know, but we'll be doing what we do. So, yeah, so basically, the Monica trial, they've been on verdict watch for quite a while. And then what happened was they were. The jury was asking some questions, and people now have some doubts about if it's going to come back guilty or innocent. And she has been accused of starting a conspiracy to murder her husband with the help of having Baker and his accomplice Austin murder her husband. So that has been a theory that maybe they had something to do with it, and that she was behind it and she wanted the insurance money. And the jury's asking questions, and the jury's taking a long time to get a verdict, so people are concerned that maybe it could be innocent. And people are concerned about if it's innocent because they they can't be doing that with the well, the jury could do that, but people think that, and I also feel that she's guilty. It's up to the jury, and the process will be respected. But we think that she was behind wanting to do that. Hola, Latina. Good to see you. My connection might be a little bit choppy right now, but we are going along, and I will be. I will read you something a little bit. Also, sure. So, Latina, I hope that you've been having a good week, and I hope that your day's been going well. All right. So, been keeping up with that, and that trial has been going along with the so. Oh, awesome, Latina. That sounds really cool. That sounds really cool. Thank you. I look forward to reading that. Yeah. So basically, what happened was, my day with the trials, I have been watching the verdict watch, and I've been watching Lori Daybell, and I watched the Chad Daybell trial. Well, I'm glad that you have eye drops, and yeah, I've been feeling some allergies too, also, and yeah, I'm glad you have eye drops. It's very important. So basically, what happened was I was watching Lori Daybell, and she is completely crazy, and she's been representing herself, and she's been having a very good, time ruining her case because she keeps calling. These witnesses are called in, and she gets in fights with them and asks them the religious questions, and that her ideology has nothing to do with the LDS Church. It is just her and Chad Daybell's warped interpretation of it, calling people pure and other people that are dark, that are zombies. It's a very bizarre group, and yeah, that has been a clown show. And I've been keeping up with the other smaller trials, but I've been mainly focusing on those two. And I think that basically, today it was very heartbreaking hearing the mother of the child, not her child, but her son that was murdered, and she was very sad about it. and Lori, was the one that was behind it, and she got, and people are saying that she was normal, but then when she met Chad, she got twisted. But I think that maybe people already had some predisposition for that. Oh, hello, Greg. Good to see you, buddy. That's awesome. You just got back from the gym. I'm glad that you've been doing that. Shout out to Gregatron. Awesome channel. And oh, hello, Duke. Good to see you. So, and I hope everybody's having a good Friday evening. And yeah, Gregatron is a really cool channel, and I like his posts and videos and stuff like that. And I appreciate y'all coming in and saying hello and dropping a like. Yeah, so the trial was very, and the other people that were being brought in were different experts with the certain people, police, and people that knew her and people that knew Charles, the husband. And there was this woman that was having an affair with her husband. And basically, the lady that was, she has a name, but I'm just calling her a lady. Basically, she was having an affair with her husband when he was alive, and she told her that, asked her what were they talking about, and she said, we weren't talking about you the whole time, so don't flatter yourself. That was epic. Yeah, I knew Latina for many years. I knew her for a couple of years. It I've known her for 3 years. Yeah, and that was before I did live streams. Yes, and we're still talking about my trial experience, and but I will say this about Latina is like, yeah, I remember when in the beginning when I rebranded my channel and came back when I was going on ABL, at some point she came across me, and yeah, I remember before I did my live streams I knew her, and LOL Duke. And so basically what happened was I knew her, and she used to comment on the videos and stuff. She was one of my, when I rebranded the channel, and it was around the 2020s. She would come in and drop the different information about aliens and stuff. It was nice. I remember that. Yeah, I saw on Gregatron's channel. On Gregatron's channel, I remember he had this movie and he put me in the credits, and Latina was there too, and I had no idea. And that basically, she knew him too. That is your girlfriend. So, well, that's cool. And also, I am glad that you also have her as well. Yeah, that's awesome. Latina is nice to share. Absolutely. And also, basically, so yeah, I didn't know that until I was at his channel and I saw his video. I saw his video and I saw that he was talking, that he also knew her as well. Yeah, it's a small world, absolutely. I didn't know that they knew each other either. I was this when I saw his video about the movie. I saw that he knew her, and I was like, "Oh wow, that was pretty cool." Yes, the world needs her. Absolutely, she's awesome. We're lucky to have her around. All right, we're steaming this way, and we're going to go from JLP. Yeah, thanks, Gregatron. Thanks. Yeah, I was so honored to be in the credits. Absolutely. All right, so basically with the trials, I yeah, so Lori is the and she has been making a fool for a client for a while, and then the judge kind of helps her out a little bit, and then people are triggered that the judge is helping her out, but she basically, if he doesn't help her out, it's they could argue that there could be like a mistrial, so that could be a bit of a problem. But that's also he feels obliged to do, but she basically digs her hole deep. And then Lori has this shock vest on. If she gets out of hand or causes a problem, she'll be shocked. Well, Latina, God bless you for that. That's really great. That's awesome. You're very generous. All right, so yeah, so basically that was, as I said, so that's with Lori. She's still in the process. She's defending herself, and Daybell, and she is extremely, causing global cringe. And yeah, Duke says he wishes he had a shock vest on. Yeah, yeah, hilarious. And you know, and there's like a button that's pressed if she like gets tries to run away or something. That's what would happen. And Daybell, she was asking the witness these questions that were irrelevant about what they were doing and what they believe in, and it's like irrelevant. But then they kept on going, especially when regarding to the LDS faith. They were talking about it, and she was asking about the Book of Mormon, the the Bible, and stuff, and it was getting more and more like, come on, like what are we doing here? So it was happening for quite a while. Oh, hello, Zero. Good to see you there. Welcome. And SC, hello. Hello, SC. Good to see you, buddy. And Zero, I'm glad to see all of you here. And Shecky. Hello, Shecky. Good to see you. Welcome. For some reason, there could be some connection issues, possibly for whatever reason, but we're still steaming along. So just keep that in mind. It might be buffering a little bit here and there. All right. I remember when the judge and Monica's trial was finished, and he was like, we're done. Dude was so excited. And then the jury had some instructions. And the jury was trying to go on a little bit longer. And he said, we're going to end for the day and we're going to come back and deliberate tomorrow. He said, and it's 4 p.m. and we are going to be coming back tomorrow. It was hilarious. Yes, Zero, I know you're on the boat. And I see you in chat. So I make, since you're in chat, I will say my rose in chat. Duke, how have you been? You see you again, Duke. Yeah, shout out to Duke. Yeah, cool dude. Thank you, Shecky. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. And yes, the beard, it goes through different cycles, and it's a goatee right now, and I go through different phases through the beard, and eventually it'll be clean shaven again at some point, and it'll go back to a beard. It goes through different patterns. Oh, okay, Greg. Greg, I like saying Gregatron better. Greg's a really great name. I had two really cool teachers with the name Greg, but yeah, I like Gregatron. That's really cool. That name. It's like the comic book character. Okay, Gregatron. Yeah, I don't know. It could be something with YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, beard, a piratey beard. Yeah. Yeah, facts, facts. And I hope all of you have been having a great week, and all of you have, I wish all of you a great weekend now. Tomorrow, which I'm not ending the live stream or anything, but I am not ending the live stream. But yeah, tomorrow around 7 p.m. Central. What around 7 p.m. Central means, it doesn't mean exactly at 7 o'clock, but it means within that hour. Merlin Beard. Oh, we got to fight this Timu ship. Oh yeah, I love talking about Merlin and King Arthur on this channel. Also, we talk about that sometimes. Let's see. Um, what was she wanting to do? What was in the beginning? All right, and we're returning around this way and firing. And I mostly missed. We're still going to get it anyway. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff. Yeah. We're going to plunder this ship. We're gonna get him. Scared. Yeah, Timu ships. George pooped on the sidewalk. Scared. Scared. Hilarious. Yeah. And chat was in deep emotion about some of the Timu cringe that Lori Daybell was doing. And I think that, basically just talking about these crimes, it makes the witnesses upset. And then the chat gets upset. Then we have to comfort everybody. So, yeah. And then there's the murder, there's a burned and beat trial, and they're going to be doing closing arguments with that tomorrow. Well, that ship just glided right through. Then another thing that we're doing is we're going to be there's this other trial about this doctor that murdered his wife, and he's from Germany or somewhere, and he talks like Zizvotza. That's how he talks. He talks like that. And everybody was like cringing, and people from Germany thought he was kind of cringe. But I mean, I thought his accent sounded pretty cool, but it was like kind of cliche. But it's not like not in a bad way. And he was saying that he was abused. As I said, people think that have different opinions about it. As I said, with trials, you'll have people that have different opinions about trials, and it doesn't mean that people should be shamed for having a different opinion about something. I mean, I think people overreact quite about that. And also, doggy do, it gets all over your shoe. That doggy do, a song I wrote. Noise. Yeah, they're Timu ships. All right, so we're gonna have to go back and sink some of these ships. All right. Oh, we sunk that so quickly. You see, when you do it right, they go down quickly. All right. And I am glad that people can see the nonsense with the Lori Daybell trial. And another thing I want to say, another problem that is going on, is that with Monica Cementelli, people aren't really too certain about why the jury has not come back yet. People are not really certain. Like, people are cringed about that. All right. Because it's like it's taking 7 days. When something's taking not 7 days but 7 hours, and people are getting a little bit nervous with Monica Cementelli. And Monica Cementelli is accused of, it's out. Monica Cementelli is accused of murdering her husband with the help of Baker and Austin, like having them do it for her. So that is a trial that's going on. You know, and so that's something that's concerning some of the chat over there. Yeah, exactly, Gregortron. Right. I have to go on the other side. Oh no, I got to go. I forgot about that. Yeah, so that is basically the situation, and there's many other trials going on. Like, for instance, there's um, a Coco Burger, And the judge was funny. He was just like, you're going to postpone this trial for another 100 years. And she said, no, I'm not going to postpone it for another 100 years. And no, he was like serious. He said 200 years. He said, well, let's get this done soon. And she was bringing up that he's autistic and he doesn't understand certain things. And as I said, there's different opinions. Now, some people think Kohberger's innocent. That doesn't mean he needs to be shamed and crucified over having a different opinion and about a trial, especially trials. In the trial chat, there's attorneys that I know very well. They're subscribed to this channel. Some are, some aren't yet. Basically, with the attorneys, some of them are really against the defendants and they side with the state because they're like, they feel it's morally wrong. There's other attorneys I know that take the position of the defense. Like some of the attorneys, they will, waiting for this thing to load. All right. So basically what happened was some of the attorneys, they will take the position of the defense. And you'll see people defend the bad guy. So, as I said, this is just how trials work. You're going to have people that see one side or a different side. So a lot of the people that I know, they will defend the defense. Like with Chad Daybell, Capri had an admiration for Pryor and said certain positions from the defense's point of view of what the defense could do. So it's good to get different perspectives. And there's debates, there's fights that happen, but nothing gets too charged. So yeah, so that's been basically the trial world. So yeah, Kohberger has been that has been going on, and with Kohberger, the other one that has been happening is Karen Reed has been popping up sometimes as well. So with those different trials that have been happening, it's been a lot of information and a lot of stuff going on. As I said, I could go on about the trials for hours and hours. I'm just giving you all like a summary about what's happening with that. And you have Duke who says, "I have completely lost the ability to operate a Ziploc bag." Scared. Well, the Timu Ziploc bags are really complicated. They're different than the ones you're used to. All right, we got some more. That's awesome. Okay. And something else that I did the other day with my garden was that I got the spinach, the winter spinach, and I made myself a very amazing salad. Yeah, Timu Ziploc bags. And my salad, I put all kinds of stuff on it, all from all over the place. So, with the salad, I put the ranch, a type of ranch. I put olive oil and black pepper powdered, and the hot sauce, and some Japanese sauce also. A little sprinkle of it. All right, we got the whole Navy on our tail. Scared. Okay. Get ready. Okay. They missed us. Good. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Shecky. Yeah, and also, so there's another situation in the trial where you have she brought up something about the murdered, like she's convicted already of murdering her kids. She was convicted of that already, and Lori Daybell, and then this is what they're trying to explain. So there's a something was brought up. She brought up something, so the door was opened. So in law, when a door is opened, that opens up a can of worms, literally, and it could cause the case to go downhill, and they could open up all kinds of other factors. For instance, when I was studying about Darrell Brooks's case, that what happened was there is a rap. So Darrell Brooks, he used his vehicle to drive in a a lot of people, and it was a parade, a Christmas parade, white people, and he drove through them. He plowed through them. Have some stuff against white people on his social media, so it could have, people think there could have been some motivation behind that besides that, but I'm sure he probably would have deleted any brace. He wasn't really maybe being specific. He wanted to just mow everybody down, whoever was there, but he does seem to have some, issues with that, according to his social media. So basically, with Darrell Brooks, he there was a rap video during his trial that he was in because he's a rapper, and he talked about the vehicle in the background, and that opened the door. Oh my gosh, really? Okay, uh, this stupid window. Okay, we have to do something else. We have to go here, and then we have to go not here, but this other area. Well, that sucks. Whatever. I'm gonna look very dark. So when he did that, he caused more problems with his trial because he opened up the door to talk more about the car and him running over the people. And he was like, "What kind of judge are you?" And he was getting all triggered, but he opened up the door by bringing it up. There's these agreements that the attorneys, the defense, and the state and the judge, everybody makes agreements like what's going to be talked about before a trial happens. Like, say if somebody steals a cookie that had nothing to do with the trial, oh, we sunk. Ah, sorry, Zero. They hit us with that artillery. Alright, let's just try to reload. Alright, we're going to change it to light mode. Alright, I'm brighter now. Yeah, we did have full health. You see, what happened was they hit us with one of those fiery things. It's like a nuclear thing. It's not nuclear, but it's like a giant fireball that sinks a ship. So we have to do this again. Yeah, it's funny, Shecky. So then it was brought up, and he was axing your honor. That's what he was doing. He was axing your honor, and he was extremely triggered, and he had full hatred in him. And he, so in Lori Daybell's case, she brought up something, and it opened up a door because this is why even Brian Steele, which I feel is one of the greatest attorneys of all time, or at least in our generation, who defended YSL Young Thug, he had Ashley Merchant defend him. So Brian Steele did not defend himself. He had Ashley Merchant do it. So it's best, even attorneys do not defend themselves. They have someone else defend them. That's best to have somebody else defend you. There was one incident that I saw, one trial, where it did work, but that's the only time that I know of. But 99.99% of the time, people that defend themselves are a fool for a client. All right, it doesn't work. Especially they don't not know legal stuff. It's like the people don't even know these simple terms. Like they don't know, there's things that I don't even know. Like I know some things and not everything. I mean, and they have to be helped. Okay, Zero, understood. And that's what's happening in the Lori case, and Daybell. Monica Cementelli's lawyers are tripping. They're getting real triggered because of like the jury questions, because they're saying that she was not involved with she wasn't. So it's like the theory is that she was trying to have her husband unalived so she can collect all the insurance money. And when she had the insurance money, that's why she, because if she divorced him, she wouldn't be able to get the money that she completely wanted. So that's what she thought was the best thing. All right, we sunk that ship. All right, and as I said, with the Monica verdict, we have to wait to see what happens with that. And okay, Zero's coming to visit. That's good. All right, it's gonna be coming to visit. I don't know if it's glitching or something. Okay. So, yeah, and it's over in Arizona. In Arizona, they go in kind of late into the evening where I am. And I think Lori, although she's already going to be in prison for a long time, she's still fighting this other case. And as I said, she just seems extremely guilty. And there is no way out for her. Yes. Yes, that is true. Megatron is an alien like me. That is true. All right, Zero. I'm gonna go to your ship in a moment. I have to dock it. It's not. It's kind of not letting him on this ship. Okay. I got 5 treasure. I got some treasure. I got copper bars and I got some wheat. All right, we're gonna go on Zero ship. Here I am. All right, yeah, definitely. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna go plunder these ships over here. There's a legendary ship out there. Scared. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could see it out in the distance. So basically, Chad Daybell's already been. He's on death row, and you already got the deletion penalty. And Lori Daybell is not going to be getting death penalty because the her defense did not have all the evidence, so they threw it out. All right, here's the legendary ship to attack. And I do not see any legendary ship. Just a floating skull. Scared. Scared. I don't even see it. What's going on? It's the invisible ship. All right. We're going to get this one pretty good. Hmm. I guess it was lag. I didn't really know what was going on at first. Well, it looks like now I have to repair the ship because I didn't know there was a ship there because I didn't see anything there. All right. So we're getting the ship repaired. That's all good. Go on the blind side. And go this way. Yeah, and then you have these other ships that come in and try to block the way. Oops. Sorry. I must have gotten too close. All right, we're just going to kind of go out a little bit and have the ship repaired. All right. We're going to get this ship repaired. And go back to that ship. All right. So, and also, yeah, so Wade Wilson, not Wade Wilson, Koberger, his trial hasn't started yet, but we're going to see it's going to be very interesting. Then we're going to have, but that was just like one appearance. It wasn't for the whole time. And Karen Reed sometimes pops up. And the Karen Reed chat, they really have some hatred for each other. Really have some hatred. Yeah, because sometimes it'll hit the ship and go bing bing. All right, going back this way. The judge is like he completely has like hatred. Like he just has enough in the Lori Daybell case. He's had enough. He just like he sighs and stuff. He had enough of it. The judge is fun. The judges can be very funny. Yeah, it was a nice time with the friends and learning different things from each other. I enjoyed it. And something that another case, a controversial case that I'll look into would be the about the stabbing, the football stabbing incident. I don't that since it's a case, I don't mind looking at that talking about that one in a civilized manner. All right. And through the maybe this stream and also the other streams too. All right. So we're going to I think the ship's repaired now. Let's look for that legendary ship. Okay. Going the wrong way. We have to go around the Cape of Timu, Africa to go there. All right. All right. Speeding straight ahead. Yeah, I see it. I'm going around the horn of Timu Tortuga right now. It is way out there, but I see it now. The legendary ship. All right, and there's already another ship over there. Let's see if we can put our hat in the ring. Looks like they have it chopped down for us. All right, here we go. Well, we got a couple of different ships over there. Oh, now we have like a fleet of pirates. Scared. Oh, that's great. It's being cut down even more. Nearly to half defeated. All right. Uh-oh. Wrong one. Wrong one. Go on. Press the wrong button. Okay. Turning his ship around. Alright, here we go. Alright, we're good. We are grilling it now. That's good. Okay. Maybe it's on the wrong side. It looks like they have it captured. They might be going on there to fight in there. Now, the other ship already caught it before we did, but I'm just... Yeah, they must be trying to go and plunder it. Yeah, yeah, Zero agrees with me that they boarded it. Yeah. Scared. Alright. Yeah, because you could board it and they could fight it. So, yeah, I'm just curious about how this ends. Them, alright, so remember that side of the ship is the side they go on. I'm just going to see what this looks like. See, that ship, they're able to capture that one. Alright, they sunk it. Now I'm level 45. Alright, so they plundered it and sunk it. So they went on board and defeated the undead of Blackbeard's crew, and they went on their way. Alright. Looks like the other team has split off into the distance. Okay, now we're just going to go here. Attack these other Timu ships. And Lori Daybell, she tries to flirt with the male witnesses talks in a goofy voice. It's complete Creonge. Alright, now we're going to plunder all these ships. Alright, that's good. Okay. So we have the French Blood Scrooge. Or Scourge. Alright. And a lot of times the jury, we feel, has gotten some verdicts wrong recently, so people are just very nervous about how these juries have been making decisions. But that's kind of like how, it's how our system works, and we respect that. But sometimes we wish that it could be a little bit different. But then again, if it was different, it could cause other problems later. If it needs me to get closer, I will. All right, the other team is back. That was helping us before. Shout out to the delay, to the lag. All right. Hey, spinning around with us. Scared. Look at this. This other player is like, that's hilarious. Playing like a little chasing game. Times Melody's funny. All right, Zero. Yes. Alrighty. Okay. Is it gonna do its thing? Okay. A silver coin. I like silver. You're welcome, Zero. Alright, now I'll be getting to the reading the stuff. I was talking to Latina, I would do. If she's here or not, I will do it. Alright, this is the ship that we were previously helping fight, that we were fighting alongside of, is this ship. I'm telling them that I'm from the purple ship. Let's see. So this ship, it's a sloop. Different type of ship than what we have. Yeah, they have a little crew here. Yeah, it goes very fast. I do not have a sloop. I wonder. That is a ship I might like to get. Try it out. The faster the ship, the better. It's something different. Alright. Alright, this is how we fight over in this end. Zero online. Times Reaper. Let's see. I'll join their crew for a little bit, and then I'll get into the reading the stuff. Yes, I see that you left. See if they bring me into the crew or not. Let's see how that goes. All right. Now I'm in the crew. This is kind of like a movie. It's like we were helping them another campaign on the other ship, and now we're here. Low 25 cannon. Now I'm here on their ship. It's kind of like I watched them off my deck on the ship take down the Blackbeard ship. Now look at me. I'm now I'm on their ship. We're sinking them down now. Shooting the lightning bolts at them. Yeah, so basically, this is how it functions from like what Zero's perspective of what he would usually see when he's doing these games with me. And tomorrow I will see with all the numerous trials that we have. Oh, this is wild. This is on the island now. Okay. These things help take down the sails. That was the wrong button. That's the wrong button. Let's see. Where was she? Was she here? She was. Okay. Duke is still here. All right. Hello, Duke. All right, they're gonna do one more, and then they're gonna probably dock it. See, this is a different type of ship than what I have. All right. Right, here we are at the island. All right, and now we got plunder. All right, so making some new friends here. Facts. I'll put the little clapping thing for the people there. Okay, let's see if that works. I'm making friends with all these new people. All right. And one of them said, "God bless all." I'm gonna say it too. All right, I made new friends with all the entire crew. So we fought with them. We fought on the same side, and now what we do is we made friends with them. So this is a pretty cool adventure today. All right. Amen. All right. I'm logging off, and then I'm going to read y'all some stuff. Maybe I'll come back onto the game after I read some stuff. We'll see. awesome. Okay. And she says it's very great to meet fellow believers. Yeah, and Rose told me it's very awesome to meet a fellow believers. These people are Christians like me and y'all, and I just randomly met them and we're giving blessings to each other. And Rose told me, it's very awesome to meet fellow believers. And good night, Ed. That's my name in the game, Edward. Night, Edward. God bless. And I told her the same thing. So, amen. This was a great session with the pirate game, meeting fellow believers, just randomly. God has blessed me everywhere I went on YouTube and in the pirate game. Amen. All right. So now I'll read some things. I don't know who is here, who isn't here, but I will do that. I might go into the game later. Let's see. All right. Okay. And a part of my face is showing, not the whole thing. All right. All right. So going to get into the spaceship cats right here. See how the internet works. All right, shout out to the spaceship cats. All right, shout out to the spaceship cats right there. All right. All right, Gregatron. You good night to you, sir. Thank you for joining me. Let's see about this story. Okay, let's see. News. All right, now it's not. It's acting. Okay. Tonight was a slow night for the internet. This might not be exactly what Latino was talking about, but this is something. Infrared AI camera proposed to scan Earth skies for signs of alien visitors. In 2021, the peace Gregatron, peace. In 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence (ODNI) released a report detailing recently declassified information on unidentified aerial phenomena (UAP). Since then, the Department of Defense has released annual reports on UAPs through the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Nevertheless, there is still a lack of public available scientific data. Yeah, I'm looking at something else. Robert Tellis is 51. To address this new study led by Harvard Smithsonian Center of Astrophysics and Galileo Project proposes an all-sky infrared camera (DALIC) to search for potential indications of extraterrestrial spacecraft. The study was led by Laura Domine, a member of the Quito Galileo postdoctoral fellowship at Harvard University, and researcher with the Galileo Project. She was joined by fellow researchers from the CFA, the Galileo Project within Observatory, the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, and at the Atlas Lens Company. The paper summarizing their proposal was presented at the 2025 Lunar and Planetary Science Conference, which took place from March 10th to the 14th, the Woodlands, Texas. The instrument they describe in their paper is nicknamed Dalik, gives its resemblance to the machine antagonist from the Doctor Who franchise. The instrument builds on recommendations made by NASA to a 2023 independent study where they stated, quote, purpose built future sensors for UAP detection should be designed to adjust on millisecond timescales to aid better detection in lockstep. Alert systems should detect and share transient information quickly and uniformly. Multi-sensor platforms are important for providing a complete picture of a UAP event. An object motion should be recorded as well as its shape, imaging data color, any sounds, and other characteristics. Their paper details this multi-model, multi-spectral ground-based observatory, the first instrument to undergo commission at Galileo Institute's development site, and the calibration process. Professor Avi Loeb, the Frank B. Byard Jr., professor of science at Harvard University, the director of the Institute of the Theory of Computation, 2007 present. Within the CFA is also the head of the Galileo Project, 2021 present, as he told Universe Today via email. Often, the U.S. government data is classified either because it was collected by classified sensors or because it is not fully understood and could potentially be relevant for national security. When in doubt, the data is not released to the public or the scientific community. However, the sky is not classified, and so the Galileo project is operating an all sky observatory at the Harvard University and constructing two other observatories in Pennsylvania and Nevada that are searching for anomalous objects, the inferred optical, radio, and audio bands. Audio bands, rather. As Loeb details, these three observatory detected about 100,000 objects per month. Each have already obtained data about 1 month a subject. This large database systematically assembled on NEOs, which Galileo's project analyzes using machine learning software. The software consists of a you only look once YOLO model for the object detection and a simple online real time tracking SORT algorithm for trajectory reconstruction. These algorithms are trained on familiar objects, planes, drones, and balloons, birds, and satellites, which allows them to sort through all observed UAPs and detect outliers. In addition, the paper contains a rundown observatory's first 5 months of operation. I'm thinking of something funny, and I just start laughing. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah. It's like I'm doing this, and there's another part of my mind that's doing something else. As the team stated in their paper, roughly 500,000 objects were detected in this period. About 16% of the trajectories they reconstructed were flagged as outliers at 95% confidence level and manually examined with inferred from these 144 trajectories remained ambiguous, which they state are likely mundane objects. They cannot be further classified without information distance and other sensor data, said Loeb. Quote, in the first 5 months of commissioning data reported in this paper, we studied 500,000 objects and assessed our ability to classify them without distance information. In the future, we hope to measure distances to objects based on triangulation by multiple detectors spaced apart within each observatory. This will allow us to determine the vel- velocity and acceleration of various types of objects and clearly identify anomalous ones. By comparison, classified studies performed by governmental agencies such as the AARO, which can often leverage just distance estimations from radar data and multiple sensors, reported that 3% of the cases brought to their attention remained ambiguous. The ultimate goal, said Loeb, is to find the few, if any, outliners that could be considered evidence of the technology advanced species, said Loeb. Our goal is to check if there are any objects which display anomalous flight characteristics or by shape, even if one is a million happened to show abilities beyond human made technologies. It would constitute the biggest scientific discovery ever made. Such an object could suggest the existence of an extraterrestrial technological civilization from which we can learn about more advanced science and technology than humans developed over the past century. All full versions of their paper was published in the journal Sensors. All right, interesting. An unidentified flying object, UFO, is an object or phenomenon seen in the sky but not yet identified or explained. The term was coined when the United States Air Force investigations into flying saucers found too broad range of shapes reported to be considered them. All saucers are disks. UFOs are also known as unidentified aerial phenomena or unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP. Upon investigation, most of the UFOs are identified as known as objects or atmospheric phenomena, while a small number remain unexplained. While unusual sightings in the sky have been reported since at least the 3rd century BC, UFOs became culturally prominent after World War II, escalating during the space age. Studies and investigations into the UFO reports conducted by the governments such as Project Blue Book, the United States, and Project Conding in the United Kingdom, as well as by organizations and individuals, have occurred over the years without confirmation of the fantastical claims of small but vocal groups of UFOologists who favor unconventional or pseudoscientific hypotheses, often claiming that UFOs are evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence or technology, advanced cryptids, demons, interdimensional contact, future time travelers. After decades of promotion of such ideas, believers in popular media, the kind of evidence required to solidly support such claims has not been forthcoming. Scientists and skeptic organizations such as the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry have provided pro-psych explanations for UFOs, namely, they are caused by natural phenomena, human technology, delusions, and hoaxes, although certain beliefs surrounding UFOs have inspired parts of new religions. Social scientists have identified the ongoing interest and storytelling surrounding UFOs as a modern example of folklore and mythology, understandable with the psychosocial explanations. The problems of temporarily per mentally or non knowable anomalous phenomenon or perceived objects in flight is part of the philosophical subject epistemology. The U.S. government currently has two entities dedicated to UFO data collection and analysts: NASA's UAP Independent Study Team and Department of Defense All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Terminology. During the late 1940s through 1950s, UFOs, often called flying saucers, are flying discs based on reporting of the Kenneth Arnold incident. Unidentified flying objects, UFOs, have been used since 1947. The acronym UFO was coined by Captain Edward J. Ruppelt of the USAF. He wrote, "Obviously, the term flying saucer is misleading when applied to objects in every conceivable shape and performance. For reasons the military prefers the more general, if less colorful name, unidentified flying objects, UFO, became widespread. During the 1950s, at the first technical literature, but later in popular use, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, first appeared in late 1960s. UAP had seen the increasing usage in the 21st century due to the negative cultural associations with UFO. UAP is sometimes expanded as unidentified anomalous phenomenon. While technically a UFO refers to any unidentified flying object, in modern popular culture, the term UFO has generally become synonymous with the alien spacecraft. The term extraterrestrial vehicle is sometimes used to separate this explanation of UFOs from totally earthbound explanations. Identification. Studies show that after careful investigation, the majority of UFOs can be identified as ordinary objects or phenomena. The 1952 to 1955 study, the USAF used the following categories: balloon, astronomical aircraft, light phenomenon, birds, clouds, dust, etc. Insufficient information, psychological manifestations, unknown other identified sources of UFO reports are aircraft, including military, civilian, and experimental aircrafts, as well as such peculiarities as aerial advertising, missile, and other rocket launches, aircraft, satellites, the International Space Station, re entering spacecraft, including space debris, kites, and various unmanned aerial vehicles, often popularly termed drones. Astronomical objects, bright stars, bodies, bright planets, and the moon. Balloons, surveillance balloons, toy balloons, weather balloons, large research balloons, and sky lanterns. Hoaxes. Light phenomena. Mirages. Fata Morgana. Sundogs. Never heard of that. Sundogs, a mock sun, are also called a perihelion. An atmospheric science is an atmospheric optical phenomenon that consists of a bright spot to one or both of the sides of the sun. Two sundogs often flank the sun within 22-degree halo. Ball light. We talked about that before here. A moon dog or mock moon, also a paraselene meteorology, is atmospheric optical phenomenon that consists of bright spot to one or both sides of the moon. They are exactly analogous to sundogs. Oh yeah, I've seen that before. Satellite flare, also known as satellite glint, is a satellite pass visible to naked eye as a brief bright flare. It is caused by reflection towards the Earth below of the sunlight incident on the satellite surfaces, such as solar panels and antennas. Streaks from satellite flare are a form of light pollution. Lens flare. A lens flare happens when light is scattered or flared in a lens system, often in response to bright light producing a sometimes understandable artifact in the image. This happens through light scattered by the image mechanism itself, for example, through the international reflection. Searchlights, an apparatus that combines an extremely bright source with a mirrored parabolic reflector to protect a powerful beam of light of approximately parallel rays in particular direction. It is usually constructed beam of light approximately parallel rays in particular direction is usually constructed so that it can be swiveled about most common elements. and other ground lights. Other atmospheric objects or unusual clouds. I've seen that a lot. Lecter clouds are stationary clouds that form a troposphere, typically in a parallel alignment in the wind direction. They are often comparable to the appearance of lens or saucers. Flare are several European countries is a type of pyrotechnic that produces a bright light or intense heat without an explosion. Plasma is states of matter characterized by the presence of significant proportion of charged particles and any combination of ions or electrons. It is most abundant from the ordinary matter in the universe, mostly in stars, but also dominating the rarefied. Psychological effects. Pareidolia. Scared. The tendency for preconception to impose a meaningful interpretation on a nebulous stimulus, usually visual, so that one detects an object pattern or meaning where there is none. Pareidolia is specific but common type of apophenia. Suggestibility is the quality of being inclined to accept and act of the suggestions of others. One may fill the gaps of certain memories with false information given by another when recalling a scenario, moment, or suggestibility uses cues or distort recollection. You see, what happens is, like, say, like when the Titanic sunk, people don't know if it was broke in half or it went down straight. Same thing with 9/11 or other traumatic events. Sometimes people do not always remember everything that occurred. In false memories is a phenomenon where someone recalls something that did not actually occur. Hello, Silver Fox. It's great to see you. I'm glad that you are here. We have some possible internet might be a little bit shaky, but I'm still been going for a little while. So, Silver Fox, good morning to you. And I'm talking about some UFO stuff. You know, earlier I was just kind of ranting about the trials, you know, and you are here, and basically, isn't it wild with Monica that they have not found a verdict yet? It's 7 hours and they didn't find a verdict yet. That's wild. And another thing that happened was, you know, I was predominantly at Lori Daybell trial, but I've glimpsed at the other trials, but I'm not as focused on them. But I still look at them, and I think that it was, you know, they're very interesting. And Lori's a clown, all right? She's a complete Timu clown. But I've always kept Monica open, and I look at chat every so often, even if I'm not always chatting. But I have the window open, but you know, because there's so many trials going on, and basically I feel kind of like obliged to be in every single chat room and talk to the different people there because our friend group gets scattered everywhere. And yeah, I just been one of them's doing some closing arguments tomorrow or deliberation, something like. May have got that mixed up, but anyway, they're doing the closings tomorrow at one of the trials. You know, with the murder, the burned beat trial, and there's so many I might be getting them mixed up. And no, it, now one thing I think I'm talking about is the doctor trial. The that one I saw him on the stand, and he has like a German type. He was kind of cringe. Not cringe, but his accent sounded strange to somebody in Germany. So yeah, many of those trials are going on, and I did see the Koberger one. I saw Koberger. I hope so too, Silver. I hope so too. And you know, it was interesting seeing the jury questions. And there was this one day the judge was sitting there, and the jury had a question, and he was like, okay, what's their question? And it was like 4 p.m. And he was like, all right, the jury questions. He answered their question. He wanted a written letter. He got the written letter, and he said, since it's 4 p.m., we're going to be deliberating this tomorrow. It's like he's just not dealing with it. He's like, all right, it's 4 p.m. Go home. And also with it was an emotional thing with the woman talking about her son that Lori unalived, deleted. It was sad. And she's there. She just has no emotion to her. I know you've not been keeping up with that trial, but she just has no emotion. Like, she just talks about these disturbing things with no emotion to her, and she is asking dumb questions, and she doesn't really know what she's doing. So it's a clown show. It's like another Darrell Brooks. And one of the trials, Adam Cox and Kay did well today testifying. Okay, Silver, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. I would have thought that you would be lurking in there or saw it. I'm thinking because a lot of people, like in another channel, that her name's Jen Jin, she watches Karen Reed and the other trials, and she lurks in there. And so of someone else on another channel was watching what I was putting up there. I mean, not what I'm putting up there. I'm just in the chat. What the trial that was there. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, okay. I'm glad that you understand. I'm glad that you got to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, just and she was talking about the zombies, and not all LDS people talk like that or think this, but yeah, she just was deceived by him and was already had something wrong with her to begin with to her to be receptible to that. Yeah. So I think that she's still guilty in that case. And as I said with juries, I warn people, we do not know. They're very unpredictable. The alien spaceship party usually has guilty in mind, sometimes, not always. But the jury sometimes thinks differently than what we do. The jury will think differently than how we think, and they do not always give the guilty verdict. So I don't know, but I do think is guilty, but we don't know. We don't know what they're going to say. I think it'll be guilty, but we've said that one too many times. And Lori did something where she brought up a topic, and it opened up the door. And GSI 8, she was confused about what in the world, you know, was going on, because she opened up the door, because she mentioned something that opened up the door about the deceased children, I believe. And yeah, it just, that's what Darrell Brooks did. Silver says you have to go with the evidence. Exactly, you have to go with the evidence. Right. And and as I said, I believe the American system, and I believe that's what we're supposed, the courts are supposed to do. And I remember my friend Super D. You may have met him. He's from Germany. He was telling me that in communist China, it's a 99.9% guilty. And he was warning me that we would be kind of turning into a group that always sees things as guilty. And yeah, we want to keep the American system in place. And I will say something that I have to rant about, and I'm going to rant about this until the Timu cows come home. All right, so I really, the in Europe and stuff, I do think that it's good the America has the system that everybody could see it. And I know that you're over in England, and I'm not against England. I have family over there, but I think that, like, France, there's other countries in Europe. I just do not think that they're progressive with the trial stuff and certain things, because I know that they're called democracies, but I just do not think they're like America's republic or democracy. No, but that's my opinion about that. I would like all countries to be able to show their trials to their audiences, and it could be like how we do it here. And as I said, I like the system we have with the jury, and it's good to have. But as I said, I feel, my opinion, Monica's guilty, but the jury has to go by the evidence and make sure everything is right. And there might be, allegedly, there's a theory that a juror might not be completely bending the knee, or not go say they think it's not guilty, and they're not going to budge. But it may just be the evidence that they're trying to oversee. So we'll have to wait and see. And so, yeah, it's Lori Daybell, completely baseless questions. And I like the lunch episode that they're having at Long Crime, where about the Lori Daybell trial, people ask questions, and a lot of our friends ask questions, and they get answered. And I think that's so cool. I like seeing that, and I learned a lot. But I'm thinking of questions with the Lord Daybell. I just don't have any. I just have all the questions answered. But I really would like to think of something to do that. Silver says we don't know half the trials that are heard in the UK. Oh, we got my famous moment here. Scared, scared, scared. And so yeah, I said, it's these countries. I'm not really a big fan of the situation, and um, I'm. It's like, I'm not calling the countries fascist. It's a very broad term, But like in World War II, they fought to stop that from happening. But I don't know. It just, I don't. Maybe it was always like that, but I just don't completely, think it's aligned how it was supposed to be with America. So thank you for filling me in on that. I I think it's just it's cringe. But I'm glad that y'all, you know, for instance, y'all stay up so late to see the trials that are going on over here. And it reminds me how people were leaving the USSR and the Iron Curtain to go to America for a better life. But through the streaming sense, there's no trials in their country. So they go to the American trials to see what's going on. Yeah, so that's something that in spite of the politics that goes on in the America, which America has problems, with politics, there's a lot of division. I'm glad at least there's the legal system and stuff is in place where it could, people could see what's going on. And I think that, and that's something that I was glad to see, because on other shows that I'm on, I talk about my trial experiences, and yeah, like these about the trials and stuff, and giving. And I also brought people to Law and Crime. It's a good channel. Yeah, so I remember my one of my friends in Germany. She didn't know who Luigi Mangione was, and she was on my stream, and I went and told her who that was, and I was like, as I said, people in Europe would know who that is. Luigi Mangione is, but as I said, I don't know in the little parts of the country, in these little pockets, maybe they're not giving them a lot of information. It just makes that's where I have a problem there. It's like I need to give them some Timu tariffs for that. Scared. And also with Koberger, they were giving the information about his lawyer was saying that he may be autistic and he doesn't understand certain instructions and certain social cues. And the judge, he said before that, he said, are we going to take 100 or 200 years to get this trial started? He was just curious, and he was just asking a straightforward question, and he was good at not laughing, and he was just like, she said, no, I'm not going to do it for 100 or 200 years. He said, no, I mean, is it going to be a few hundred years until we get this trial started? And it's like, he's just not having it. It has to be done. And what Ellie was saying, that they shouldn't have torn down the house where the evidence was. In Karen Reed's trial, the hearings are, the chat's atrocious. The chat is cringe. And also, there's this other incident that occurred. One of the channels is like, there's this case in the United States of it was a football game, and one kid stabbed the other so this is the story from what I can gather. But you probably know what I'm talking about, but I just, so it's raining and there's a tent where there's a team and there's these football players and this other guy, he goes under the tent, and the football player pushes him and says, get out the tent. And he says, push him again and see what happens. And he pushed him again and he got stabbed in the chest. And bringing a weapon on school grounds is prohibited, or campus grounds, wherever, whatever you want to call it. And that's the story that we're given. But there's another situation. There's an elephant in the room about this. That the person that did it was the defendant is black and the other kid is white, and it seems people are hyper focused on the racial aspect of it rather than the crime itself. And I think that the race is irrelevant in this situation. You heard about it, okay? I think that race is irrelevant in the situation. And on the show I was on, these people were getting angry at the host because he feels that it was self-defense, in his opinion. And as I said, I don't know about having a knife out and stuff, but as I said, people shouldn't do stuff like that. at a school. But I understand, and I do know that bullying, like from the Columbine incident, if you look at the bullying that happened prior to that, the shooting was horrible. It shouldn't have happened. Now the bullying was very bad, and the teachers and coaches they actually helped bully the kids, allegedly. Some people, allegedly. So bullying can get pretty bad. I don't know what the circumstances were, and he should have used other means, and maybe But as I said, I don't know all the circumstances. But his name's ABL. He has a right to his opinion. But as a chat attacked, some people in this chat attacked him, and for his opinion, and he's black, and people are angry at him, and were saying racist stuff, and I think that just really agitated me very much, because we don't have to get like that. People can have their own opinions, like the trials that we watch. People have their own opinions, so it has nothing to do with race. All right, just someone stabs somebody, that's what we need to focus on. I just don't know why people have to act like we're barbaric and like we're from the 1800s or something. We got to be in 2025, right? So I just think it's I'm disturbed by that incident. But as I said, people are entitled to their opinions, and he is too. And as I said, it's irrelevant. People relevant about the race. All right, so people would say that if it was a black person, there would be a problem. But it looks like with these other people are getting acting upset if it's a white person getting hurt. It's like both people need to relax, right? You know, so yeah. So as I said, I want to go to trial. Let's get as much information as we can get until we can make a decision about if he's guilty or innocent. And maybe we'll probably watch it on Law and Crime. We could all amongst ourselves uh, have a dialogue and conversation for the whole day about what is exactly going on in those trials if they advertise it. Or maybe I'll talk about it on this channel. I will certainly talk about it on this channel. But of course, if it's on just on my channel or we watch it Law and Crime too, we will be able to see, if it's guilty or innocent. And yeah, as I said, so the person shouldn't have been pushing him and maybe bullying him, and you shouldn't really have a weapon on school grounds. All right, but at the same time, some people think it could be self-defense, but as I said, it's just something that go back and forth on, and I understand bullying or could get pretty bad, and I don't know what he went through or what the situation was. None of us were there. During a trial, hopefully we get more information. But yeah, it's just as I said, like for instance, there's these two white neighbors. One of the trials we saw recently with the snowplow trial, and somebody shot the other neighbor 6 times. I think that wasn't necessarily self-defense if it's 6 times. That's a little bit overboard. But two white neighbors attacking each other. I mean, it's not a race specific thing. And people are saying that the kid was ghetto and this. It's like, doesn't matter. White people could do it all the time. All the time they could fight each other, or any other race could fight each other. Just two people. It got escalated, and people need to try to de-escalate things. People could walk away if they can, not bring a weapon, especially on a campus, and to try to de-escalate. And it's like everybody could try to get along. But yeah, just when people bring up the race stuff, I just really I really just explode, because the race is relevant in a situation. And yeah, so, and also, and Friday evening, so tonight will be this evening, we will have, I'll do the evening live stream like I usually do on Fridays. And over the week, I have noticed that people are in need of people are, I could go on during the week. I'll go live in the evenings more often, because so the people could still have somewhere to go after the trial ends, and that's something that I want to add to the streaming schedule. So next week I'll be going live throughout the week at the end. And also, basically, I am glad to, I enjoy the streams very much. Yeah, so that is basically, so Karen Reed, that's going to be an interesting retrial that's going to happen, because when a mistrial happens, facts over. When a mistrial happened, so Karen Reed had to have a retrial. And basically, when a retrial happens, according to Rumbohedral, he said that people could be found, guilty more likely because the prosecution has more information and more tactics and stuff. So, as I said, we'll see what happens with Karen Reed, but people say that it's so corrupted over there that it may be thrown out or she may be found not guilty. Yeah, so it's that's another situation. So yeah, there's so many different trials. I've not kept up with every single one 100%, but I've looked at every single one. I just not kept up with them 100%. And my main focus right now is seeing the Monica verdict and Lori trial also. But I am looking at all of them. I'm really I multitask, and when you listen to all the trials at one time, it's kind of like schizophrenic. Like you hear all these different voices going off in your head, all everywhere, and I just decipher each different voice and listen to each group. It's like listening to music. You have different instruments and different vocals. It's just kind of like that. You just kind of dissect it and listen to every single one, and it takes practice. But it's not for everybody. It's very difficult, and the timings could be difficult. Like when Alexandria McDonald, she got some time mixed up. It's okay. It's very complicated sometimes. It's very difficult with because people could hear something, but it really was something else, and it's all so quickly. Chat's going so fast, but yeah, I'm glad that Alexandria McDonald is there because I'm glad because and also Kathy Rusin because it's just they had too many stupid trolls sometimes, and you need to have some mods in there, but it doesn't have to be like it was with Addie and her team, because and yeah, the chat is more laid back than it used to be. It seems to be more what you would call people could, I guess, be less restricted. So, but at the same time, there's still some moderation. So I'm glad that because I and the others were requesting mods last like a year ago. It was over and over and over. It was like state of emergency. Get the mods in here. Get the mods in here, and eventually they got them in. Someone asked if Lori's hair were extensions. All the zombies that she sees puts her in suspension. Lori had many stupid questions. Zap her with the shock vest and put her in detention. She's not getting out of this. No Timu pension. Scared. So yeah, the shock vest. Let's see if I remember it. Yeah, so you have this thing right here. Yeah, so yeah, that's the vest, and that's what will zap her if she gets out of hand. I was listening while listening, whistle brushing my teeth. Oh, okay, understood. I was thinking of something. That's why I shook my head. I'm thinking. I'm like, I'm tripping. It's like St. Patrick's Day's over with. That happened already. It's like the spring here. The grass is green, the flowers are coming out, but I'm like, wait a minute, St. Patrick's Day is past us. It's gonna be Easter next. All right. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna basically do what I should have done. I should do this more often, but I'm going to I'm going to get this shock vest thing to show y'all again. Listening. All right, so we have the shock vest. It looks like a black vest, like a dress vest of some sort, but it's not. And you put it on a person, and it shocks them. And that's like a kind of like a part of Lori Daybell with the shock vest on. So that is just, it's a black vest, and what Lori is wearing is a you can see like a piece of her, and it's like a black vest, like you would wear like a dress vest sort of, or some sort. It looks like a bulletproof vest kind of, but has a shocking mechanism in it. Scared. All right, and this is the shock belt. All right, and so with the shock belt, the stun belt, that's what it is right there. And basically, that's like what she would have on. And then you had this scene where the lover of her, you know, the husband was talking to her, and she was telling her like, did they talk about her? And she said, "Don't flatter yourself. We didn't talk about you too much." And she had all these really cool comebacks. The witness, that was really heated. All right, so that is prisoner with the belt on. All right. Yeah, so that's pretty much like what I just showed. Okay. All right. So that is like my recap about the trials. Psychological. Okay, in there's optical illusions and hallucinations also that could be playing a role. You know that people might see seeing UFO, but it's optical illusion. And hallucinations. An individual in 1979 study by CUFOS researcher Alan Hendry found, as did other investigations, that fewer than 1% of cases he investigated were hoaxes, and most sightings were actually honest misidentifications of pro-psych phenomena. Hendry attributed most of these inexperience, or misperception. Astronomer Andrew Farconoi rejected the hypothesis that UFOs are extraterrestrial spacecraft and responded to the onslaught of crudeless coverage. In books, films, and entertainment, by teaching this his students to apply critical thinking to such claims, advising them that being a good scientist is not unlike being a good detective. According to Frank Onai, a UFO reports might at first seem mysterious, but the more you investigate, the more likely you are to find that there is less of these stories that meets the eye. Scared. People have always observed the sky and have sometimes seen what to some appear to be unusual sights, including phenomena as varied as comets, bright meteors, one or more of the five planets that can be readily seen with the naked eye, planetary conjunctions, and atmospheric optical phenomena such as perihelion and lenticular clouds. One particularly famous example is Halley's Comet, first recorded by Chinese astronomers in 204 240 BC and possibly as early as 467 BC as a strange and unknown guest light in the sky. As a bright comet that visits the inner solar system every 76 years, it was often identified as a unique isolated event in ancient historical documents whose authors were unaware that it was repeating phenomenon. Such accounts in history often were treated as supernatural portions, angels, and other religious omens. Supernatural or supernatural angels and omens. While UFO enthusiasts have sometimes commented on the narrative similarities between certain religious symbols and medieval paintings and UFO reports in the canonical and symbolic characters of such images is documented by art historians placing more conventional religious interpretations on such images. Some examples of pre contemporary reports about unusual aerial phenomena include the Julius Obsquins was a Roman writer who was believed to have lived in the middle of the 4th century. The only work associated with his name is the Liber de Prodiglis, Book of Prodigies, completely extracted from an epitome or abridgment written by Livy de Prodigius, was constructed as an account of the wonders and portions that occurred in Rome between 249 and 12 BCE, an aspect of the Obsquin's work that has inspired excitement in some UFO enthusiasts is that he makes reference to things moving through the sky. The descriptions provided bear resemblance to the observance of meteor showers. Bisquins was also writing some of the 400 years after the events he described. Thus, the text is not an eyewitness account, no correlation with these amazing sights of old with contemporary observations was mentioned in that work. Shinkyo, 1031 to 1095. A song Chinese government scholar, officials, and prolific polymath inventor wrote a vivid passage in the Dream Pool Essays 1088 about unidentified flying objects. He recorded the testimony of eyewitnesses in 11th century En Hayu I and Jai Gensu. Oh yeah, this is interesting right there. Oh yeah. Especially in the city of Yangzhou Hoyu, who stated that a flying object with opening doors would shine a blinding light from its interior from an object shaped like a pearl that would cast shadows from trees for 10 miles in radius and was able to take off tremendous speeds. A woodcut by Hans Glacier that appeared in broadsheet in 1561 has featured in popular culture as a celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. In connection to various ancient astronaut claims, skeptic debunker Jason Colavito argues that the woodcut is a second-hand depiction a particularly gaudy sundog, a known atmospheric optical phenomenon. A similar report comes from 1566 over Basel, and indeed in 15th to 16th centuries, many leaflets wrote of miracles and sky spectacles which bear resemblance to natural phenomena which were only more fully characterized after the scientific revolution. On January 25, 1878, Denison Daily News printed an article in which Martin, a local farmer, had reported seeing a large, dark, circular object resembling a balloon flying at wonderful speed. Martin, according to the newspaper account, said it appeared to be about the size of a saucer from his perspective of the first uses of the word saucer in association with a UFO. At the time, ballooning was becoming an increasingly popular and sophisticated endeavor, and first controlled flights of such devices were occurring around the time. Something cool about the 1800s, there were UFO sightings, but there were people that were creating flying spacecrafts and just flying them everywhere, and there are these very unique types of craft. They're so unique and gigantic, like blimps, that we don't even have anymore. So I really admire these types of creations. But I do believe they're UFOs also. You know, there's also UFO sightings that happened. Yeah, you know, they made gizmos like this. It's so cool. It looks like somebody's getting chased or something like that. Well, it probably was an ambulance. Well, shout out to the ambulance and what's going on around. You know, whatever they got to do, let them do what they got to do. The ambulance. They may help whoever's in need. Amen. All right. Yeah, so that those are some airships that are pretty cool. All right, and it is back. It is back. All right, it's taking its time. Let's see about this incident football. Carmelo attorney's Anthony's lawyer says murder of teen football star Austin Metcalf could have been self-defense. One, the attorney for Camilio Anthony and 17-year-old accused of murdering football star Metcalf at a Texas track meet insists that he doesn't have any reason to think that the deletion was in self-defense and will request that the teen's bond be lowered from 1 million. Anthony has holed up the Collin County Jail on 7 digital bond on 7 with the fatally stabbing Metcalf. No, Metcalf. Also, 17-year-old leaving him to be deleted in his twin brother's arms during the athletic event Wednesday morning. After briefly meeting with the teenager for the first time on Friday afternoon, Anthony's attorney Derek Walpole told NBC Dallas Fort Worth that this point in time he believes his client acted in self-defense when he thrust a knife into Metcalf's heart, which is what Anthony had allegedly told police during his arrest. Quote, I know that my client said it was self-defense. I don't have any reason to disbelieve that, but I need to develop facts, talk to people, and figure out what's going on before I make any statement about what I think happened. While Pohl told the outlet outside the prison, I don't have any reason to think it wasn't self-defense at this time. Walpole confirmed that he requested a hearing next week to lower attorney Anthony's bond, which could raise chances of his pretrial release. The stabbing was sparked when Metcalf, a Memorial High School junior, asked Anthony Centennial High School student to move from underneath Memorial's pop-up tent during a rain delay. Anthony refused, according to the arrest report. Anthony immediately unzipped a bag, reached inside, and told Metcalf, touch me and see what happens. A witness told police. All right. So he had the knife in his hand, and he said, "Come, do it again and see what happens." Moments later, Metcalf grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest, police said. The eyes say everything about a person, they say. Alright, well, with this, like, it's kind of leaving me. There we go. Metcalf's twin brother Hunter rushed to Austin's aid but couldn't save him. I put my hand on his chest, tried to make the bleeding stop, and I grabbed his head and I looked into his eyes. I just saw his soul leave, and it took my soul too, Hunter told Fox News in an emotional interview the following day. Anthony ran away but was quickly arrested. I'm not alleged I did it. 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony confessed to police that he was being taken into custody, according to the arrest report. I was protecting myself, Anthony alleged, told cops. He put his hand on me. Anthony's father told the Post this week that his son was provoked. He was not the aggressor. He was not the one who started it. Andrew Anthony said everyone has already made their assumptions about my son, but he's not what they're making him out to be. Andrew Anthony says, adding that his son is an A student who works 2 jobs. Anthony's stepmother, Kala Hayes, told the Post Saturday that the family has hired a PR team, but declined comment any further. Anthony's attorney could not be reached for comment on Saturday. All right. Teen accused in track meet stabbing won't face death penalty if convicted. All right, that's him and the victim. I was thinking of something else, but that's why I kind of, as I said earlier, I kind of have my mind goes in different places. Anyway, so this is the teen that is him and his brother or a teammate, I guess. I'm just learning about this case. You know, it's best if someone has a knife. I don't, it's unless you absolutely have to, it's best not to push them. But he shouldn't have had a knife on him on the school grounds. But as I said, I don't know all the situation. I wasn't there. He also hunted, it seems, as well. All right, that's another image, kind of like what we saw before. It's them and the twin brother. All right, so look at that. Okay. So we'll see how that trial goes. Let's see. Let's look this up again. What's it called? Carmelo Anthony. Okay, it does not show any information of when that trial will be. Okay, let's see. There's a ship sinking. Okay. Ah, there it is. All right, a large cargo ship which ran aground in a Denver harbor has been refloated. Rob Parsons, Tingmouth harbor master, said the ship was refloated at about 1800 BST and had been berthed alongside the harbor wall. Read a little bit of this, and then I'll end it. This one is a little bit of a shorter one than some of the longer ones that I do. But it's not really a shorter one. It's kind of like the usual time. We've been alive 3 hours. Oh, I didn't know that. That's only I just learned that. Wow. Yeah. So we're going to read a little bit about this, and then that'll be it. All right. So, and it's freezing up on me again. It's okay. Not freezing up, but connection's being goofy. Oh, my leg, my leg. Well, it's really my ankle. It's not my leg. Okay, okay, that's better. A ship named Scott Bay got stuck in a river Tegan in Devon early this morning, Thursday, April 10. The cargo ship carrying animal feed had departed from Dutchport, city of Gemuden. It was trying to dock at destination in Teaguemouth when ran aground and became stuck. Ken, I'm stuck. Scared. Global ship tracking site Marine Track noted that the ship was aground at this time. It's currently known that it might be freed. Teaguemouth Harbor Commission was alerted about the situation before 6 a.m. Acknowledged that the incident in the statement released in 7:14 a.m. That the message confirmed the plans were underway to resolve the safety navigations intended berth Devon reports. I don't know what that's about. Okay. All right, stuck. Good morning, Eugene. Hello there. I'm gonna be live for a little bit longer, but then I'm gonna end it. The THC said, "Please note that I am aware of the situation within the river regarding the cargo vessel. Myself and my team are on the site, and I will be coordinating with our partners to rectify and get vessel to where it needs to be safely. I will, of course, update and as good morning to you, Goodmouth. I mean, I was being a Temu for a second. Good morning, Eugene. I don't know what Goodmouth is. Well, what is going on in my head? Mr. Parsons also said one thing I'm always worried about is people are keen to watch things like this. That's great, and we can't stop that from the shore, reports of the BBC. But what we don't need is people that are on the water who are going to cause issues. The cargo ship, which had 8 crew on board, was secure and there was no injuries or pollution reported. The harbor master also added that he was confident the boat, which got stuck about 328 feet from the quay, would be moved this evening thanks to the good weather and building tides. All right, and Eugene, I hope that you're having a good day. A good morning, and also hope your day goes well. And I'll also be doing the live stream around 7 in the evening. So that's a ship that in England that is stuck. Hmm. All right. Okay, Eugene. Eugene. All right. All right. So I'm going to be ending the stream. All right. This is the we've reached the ending point in it, and we've been live for 3 hours. And I want to thank all of you for coming, and I appreciate all the support. And there's a little bit of a rocky connection, but next time we'll have it fixed. And everybody, take care. Good morning to everybody, and peace.